Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Nice to see you, Nigo. Nice to see you. Great to see you. I'm happy you got back on Patreon, my man. What's up, BG? Nice to see you. Yeah, man. Listen, let's just talk about this game firstly. I did pick Miami to win in the cover. And you sent your shot in the chat saying Denver money line. And I do want people to have caution with this because you have to remember my feelings coming in to Tuesday when I did the show. I was up 21-3 with the Broncos against the Commanders, and we saw what happened there. And listen, Miami is going to win us a lot of money this year. I mean, hell, they already have. I just do want to give a little bit of caution to the Dolphins this week with the -6.5. I know it's in Miami, and I know we made so much damn money using that home field advantage. It's just 6.5 is a little bit too much. Sean Payton's a damn good coach. So, like I said, I'm not touching that game. I would like to change my pick to Denver +6.5. I don't backtrack too often, but you know the emotions in that one got me with Mike McDaniel covering us another spread. It's great. It's great, man. It's great watching that man work. What's up, Kevin Hill? What's up, Tony? Tony, how about them Dolphins, man? I mean, it's been a fun ride. Why is Waddle out, BG? I saw he practiced today. So I have to see confirmation. I looked at the injury report. I didn't see any update. Miami always has a weird timing and situation with their injuries. And listen, Waddle is damn good. I think he's a top 15 receiver. This Dolphins team does have something special, and it would take a lot of gusto to bet Denver money line. It would. With the 6.5, I feel more comfortable. But I want to see how that game plays out. I want to see if this Denver defense is going to get a pass rush. Because first half against the no-names, I mean, they were knocking Sam Howell around. And then in the second half, they just kind of disappeared. I mean, there was no semblance of a pass rush. And we know their secondary can play, but I do think some people are overrating the Broncos defense because it's been good for so long. Yeah, man, Trayvon Diggs out for the season. I mean, that was an absolute crusher. That was an absolute crusher, man. I'm worried about the Cowboys with that. But I did say, and I know I don't want to repeat myself, but I did say this Brandon Cook, Stephon Gilmore move was a Jerry Jones masterclass if he was behind those signings. So now that Stephon Gilmore signing looks even more important. And we got some good games this week. I'm looking forward to the Falcons at Lions. I'm really looking forward to see what the Commanders can do at home against the Bills. Titans, Browns, I know it's going to be ugly on the eyes, but I am really curious to see that game. Like, I wanted that to move down to -3 for the Browns. I haven't gotten my wish. It was there for like a day, and then quickly it moved back up to -3.5. And I do want to say something. Listen, Patreon users, firstly, thank you guys, and I love you guys. But I was not BSing with the Raiders spread, just so everyone knows. When I went to make the pick Tuesday morning, and when I put up the pick Tuesday on Patreon, immediately after the show, we saw the spread move. And that's why you guys know I like putting my bets up on Friday. I'll have 4 or 5 bets a week. They all go up Friday night. I like beating this last rush on Friday. But if I think a game's going to move, if I think they're going to pull a string on us, I will go to Patreon early like I did last week with the Dolphins. And I did that same thing with the Raiders, and I don't know why you guys didn't get the price. I don't know why you guys didn't. I'm trying to figure it out. I just haven't really waded through it. Listen, I use like 6, 7 sports books, but it was +1 Raiders on all of them. And that's another thing I want to talk about. One misconception people have is that let's look at the Pittsburgh 49ers game, which we were right about week 1. So, for instance, 83% of the bets were on the Steelers. About 17, 18% were on the Niners. Did that spread move? No. It actually moved to favor the 49ers more. So, I should say this to say this. The public betting which way and the other does not move spreads. The people who move spreads are the people who bet big sums of money and who are good. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but you guys have noticed it throughout the years. When we pick a game, when we're strong on a game, you see it move, man. And that Raiders-Steelers game just happened. And I am not saying it was us who did it. There's like 15, 20 great gamblers in the country, and I think they called in a big bet on it. I don't know if it was us moving that on Tuesday with the video. So I just wanted to cut off that misconception. It's not about the public bets. It's about who's betting. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Great to see everyone in here. What's up, Joe? What's up, Angelo? Lions -5.5 is last I saw it was -3, but I mean, I do think the Lions win the game by 5 points, 6 points. I am a little bit worried about the Falcons. I mean, that the stuff I saw last week was worrisome. Okay, Jose Q. How are you on the Jets with Hoodie beating the Jets 14 times in a row? I'm a little bit concerned about Dwayne Brown's injury at left tackle for the Jets. I got to say that. We haven't got confirmation. If one of you guys have gotten confirmation, please post it in the chat. But when I'm looking at this game, I'm going, this is going to be an ugly game. This isn't for the kids to watch. This isn't for the TV audience. This is going to be a scrappy, ugly game. And in that type of scenario, give me the points and give me the better defense. And I think people get a little bit too emotional early in the season. Did the Jets give up points against the Cowboys? Of course they did. Did the Jets defense play bad? No, I don't think they played bad. They had way too many penalties and gave the Cowboys way too many opportunities in the red zone. But I don't think that Jets defense played bad. If Sauce Gardner catches that interception, which was a clear pick 6, that everything changes in that game. And I'm just not high on the Patriots like you guys. And I haven't been that way for 3 years. It's not like I bet against the Patriots every week or I just have something against the Hoodie, Bill Belichick. It's just, I think they're vastly overrated by the public, vastly overrated by great bettors, and therefore they're vastly overrated by the sports book as well. And Armando, Anthony Richardson isn't starting. We're going to get a serving of Gardner Minshew. And so when I look at this game, man, I'm going, okay, who can run the ball better, Jets or Patriots? I think the Jets do it. I think the Jets win this damn game. I know it's risky. I've been thinking about it all day if I'm going to put it on Patreon. I still haven't made my decision, but I like the Jets, man. I like the Jets. And memorabilia, yes, I am still in Brazil. Follow me on Instagram. Sometimes I put up funny stuff of what I do in Brazil. Have a dog I'm feeding named Hamilton. I'm sure some of you are getting sick of it. Blaze, how many units do you usually put on straight bets? I don't really use units. I use percentage of my bankroll. And if I'm really strong on a game, I'm going to use like 7%, like 7-10%. If it's just a normal bet, I'm using 3-4%. So that's where I'm at. When my bankroll was smaller, the bets obviously were smaller, but the percentages were higher. So yeah, man, you got to find what works for you, man. Barkley Haddad. What do you think of Houston plus 9.5? Call me stupid. And I know I'm going to get ridiculed for this, but I think the Texans cover. But I got to tell you, I am concerned about some of the stuff I'm seeing out of Texans camp. CJ Stroud hasn't played bad, and they're getting waxed in games. And I don't know why this Texans defense isn't playing up to caliber. I mean, I guess last week you could blame injuries, but I am really concerned with some of the shit I've seen transpire on the defensive side of the football. And you would think CJ Stroud has been absolute trash. He hasn't. He really hasn't. He probably has been the best rookie quarterback. It's hard to judge Richardson because he only got to play like 1 game and a half. But yeah, I do think Houston covers. I don't want to bet it, but I am really tempted. And if you look at the matchup last year in Jacksonville, I think it was like a 1-point game. I think it was like 10-9, 12-10, that type of score. D'Amico's got to have those boys humming a little bit more. I think he'll do it. Zamora with the super chat. Thank you, my friend. Cowboys survivor pick or someone else. For my survivor this week, I used Cowboys. I'm still alive in the survivor thing I'm doing for money with Brazilians. But let me give you another one. Last week I had the Bills. This week, I mean, there's like quite a few options you could take. Let me think, if you don't want to use the Cowboys, who you could use. Something tells me the Colts can keep it close with the Ravens, but I'd honestly get the Ravens or Cowboys out of the way right now. I would get one of them out of the way. There are some other games you could toss, but I don't think you should elaborate more than the Cowboys. Like, Cowboys should beat Arizona, and we know the Cowboys have showed up bad in some of these games. You guys remember when the Bears damn near blew them out last year? But Justin Fields almost put up a 50 spot in Dallas, in Irving, Texas. But go Cowboys here. One thing we've seen with the Cardinals, they actually play a pretty good first 3 quarters, but they just don't have enough talent in the 4th quarter, and that's when they get washed away. Mike, last question, and I'll get to the Patreon questions. Hello, John. What do you think of Patriots, Cardinals, Bears, Colts? Are you talking about a parlay or individual? I don't like the Patriots this week. I assume most people will be riding the Patriots. So I don't blame people who think the Patriots will look better this week. I just don't know if I've seen the evidence. And like I said when I was talking about that game earlier, I think the Jets have the better defense. I think the Jets have the better running game. Obviously, Mac Jones is better than Zach Wilson, and Mac hasn't played that bad this year. That's one thing BG was saying 2 weeks ago, and I agree. I think Mac Jones gets a lot of hate and a lot of trash thrown at him. That just isn't fair, and it isn't realistic. Cards, I do think the Cards could cover that game. I do think they could. As for the Bears, I'm staying away from that one. 12.5, 13.5 is an awful lot in this league, but the Bears have been an absolute mess. I mean, instead of talking about how we're going to use Justin Fields, what type of stuff we're going to innovate, we're talking about Alvin Williams. We're talking about FBI raids. We're talking about all the wrong things with the Bears. And honestly, when you look at those first 2 performances, you kind of understand why now. These first 2 performances from the Bears have lacked heart, desire, creativity, play calling. I mean, Justin Fields also took some bad sacks. I'm a big Justin Fields defender, but some of the sacks he took against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week were disgraceful and not fit for an NFL quarterback. For instance, game's still close near the end of the first half. Bucs are up 7. Bears are on the Buccaneers like 32-33. If he throws the ball away, it's a 47-yard field goal. He ends up holding the ball for fucking 13 seconds. takes a big loss. Now it turns into a 60-yard field goal. You see my problem? The Bears aren't doing the little things, so please stay the hell away from them, even though I really like points. Points pay in this league. I know it's not sexy. I know the Bears stink, but points pay in this league. And Colts, I do like the Colts. I don't think there's going to be that big a drop-off, and I'm just not a big Ravens guy. I don't have a lot of evidence for any of that, but I'm just not a big Ravens guy this year. Credit to them beating the Bengals last week. I'll take my lump. I'll take the slap in the face. But I'm not high on this Ravens squad. And one thing we've seen from Shane Steichen and the Colts, they're creative. The read option is still there with Minshew. Not a whole lot. But I'm not a big Minshew guy. I always make fun of him. But I think he'll be able to move the chains. And I don't think this Ravens team is as good as people think. And Kevin Hill, we will be getting the prop bets. I got a question on Patreon. Last week we hit Robert Woods 35.5. I told you guys it wasn't a sexy pick. I told you it wasn't one that was like mainstream, but that's what I'm finding. I dug up 4 or 5 this week. We'll get to it later in the show. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the first Patreon question. What's up, Patreon users? I appreciate you guys. You guys are beautiful. Okay. We got 31 questions. All right. And listen, I might spend like 10 minutes on the question. It's just how it is. T1 the Great, could you do some player props? Yes, I will, my friend. Yes, I will. I'll get to them. And I'll tell you about in the video when I get to them. Cliff, do you think this weather on the East Coast this weekend will affect games and scores? Yeah, I do. And the weather guy, those of you who are long-term listeners, 4 or 5 years, we used to have a weather guy. And he was just so great with the weather. He was better than the weatherman, better than the TV, whatever phrase you want to use. And then he just went away because I think he thought I was teasing him. I wasn't. Like I said, listen, I love your weather autism. Please do it. Keep posting the forecast on every damn video. He finally came back. I saw him came back, and I think the forecast is going to play a big factor in this Bills-Commanders game. That's the game that I think it can wreak a little bit of havoc, especially since it seems like I don't remember the forecast offhand, but there's a high chance of rain. We know Washington, D.C., it always rains there. So I think that will affect the Bills, and that particular matchup is actually one reason why I like the Commanders this week, and I think the Bills could be in a little bit of trouble. Good question, Cliff. Lino Frosto. Yo, what's good, my dude? How you feeling? I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling pretty good going into this week. Had a good day today. My degenerate teaser play hit last night. Once again, thank you for all the picks over the summer. We ate good. To everyone, please be careful with my Bears. Hairless Hall got raided by cops, and they are a complete dumpster fire. Fields is the new Jay Cutler, and shout out to the Fox on the show who talked me into Seahawks last week. Money, money, money. Yeah, man. We got a lot of smart people on Patreon. Really smart people. But the problem is when you have a lot of great minds, we do end up getting watched, like what happened with the Raiders spread moving this week. And it wasn't because the public was pounding the Raiders. It was because we were on it, and that's just how it goes. So, yeah, man, shout out to the smart people on Patreon. And yeah, man, we killed the USFL this summer. I plan to do it again. I'm thinking about a soccer bet this week along with the NFL picks. I just don't want to get anyone confused. And some people, when they see soccer, they just instantly it changes their mood. Thank you, Lino. And I'm glad you made money last night. You guys are wild for betting Thursday night. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the next Patreon question. And yeah, your Bears are a mess, man. Nicholas Vincent. Hi, Lawson. Thanks for all the great picks. Best on YouTube Patreon. I was wondering what your favorite two-team teaser is for this week. Great teaser last week. Money, money, money. I will be posting one, Nick. Sorry for it, but I will be posting one. And I think this one is just as good as the one we hit last week. So stay tuned. I will be posting it on Patreon. Patreon, link in the description. Hit the like button. Let's get to Brian's question. Thanks, Nick, for the question. Brian DePaul. Brian, I love this cat you have in your photo on Patreon. What's up, Money Man? Hope you're having a great week. Call me crazy, but I'd like the Browns to cover this week. I like them too. What's your thoughts on the game? Also, can they still make the playoffs without Chubb and a rusty Watson? I think they can. And this whole Steelers hype during the offseason bothered me, but I didn't say anything. I waited in my hole. I was in hibernation. I waited in my hole, counting down the days. And the first chance we got the Browns week 1 against the Bengals, we hit it. And I think this is another chance to bet the Browns. I don't like the hook here. Let's be realistic. This hook is a fucking problem. Mike Vrabel and the Titans. It's like the worst team to have a hook against. Let's be realistic about it, Brian. But I like the Browns this week. And the matchup in this game that I think is most paramount is this Titans offensive line against the Browns defensive line. And, you know, we saw what happened with the Browns against the Steelers. I told everyone not to bet this game, but this game is turning into a spot to get the Browns. And I got to go with my preseason predictions. I have the Titans as the worst offensive line in the league. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen anything that changes my mind. I know Derrick Henry can get 7 yards running into a brick fucking wall. And credit to him. That's why we call him King Henry. I just don't think the Titans are going to have much pass game. And we saw how Tannehill played against the Saints. And if you can't handle that Saints old front, how are you going to handle this Browns front with a healthy Myles Garrett, with Zadarius Smith coming off that other edge, and Schwartz hyping up the blitzes? Now, with the Browns, the offense is a huge problem, and that's why I said beware of the hook. But I like the Browns, Brian. I like the Browns, man. Jojo! Bucks are looking like money. I also like Titans spread. I got Bills beating the no-names. I do like the Bucks, Jojo. And like I said, that Titans game, like, listen, if it's Vrabel magic and if it's the Browns just making mistakes, I get you. It's just the Vrabel magic at a certain point needs to be matched by the talent at store, and there just isn't a whole hell of a lot of talent there. But that's my opinion. Okay, let's get to the next Patreon. Yeah, I mean, Bills are 6 points favorite, so they should beat the no-names, but I guess the real question is, are they going to cover? Arsenio Hillard. What's up, Arsenio? I need the college fund back, Lawson. I was kind of dropping hits about the Dolphins last week. It's just, the problem is, man, it's just people are really irresponsible with money. And if I call the dogs out, listen, spreads. So the games listen, here's the funny part about spreads. My record's been good over the past 3 years, but it seems like the game I'm most certain about doesn't hit. Like, I'll go 3-1. For instance, in week 1 on Patreon, I went 3-1. But the game I was most certain about didn't hit. 3-1's a great week, especially week 1. But you see what I'm saying, Arsenio? But I will send you a message. If there's a game I'm going big on, there's only been one game I've went big on this whole year. It was the Dolphins and the Patriots. If I go big on a game, you will be the first person to know. Because I remember when you subscribed last year, Yeah, I remember it. So I'll let you get in on that. I'll let you get on that. I will remember. I have a memory like an elephant. Next question. We got Brad. What's up, Brad? Big money, big Lawson. Let's get it. My question is there any duds or games to stay away from? Yeah, there's tons of games to stay away from. One game I really want you guys to stay away from is the Chicago Bears, the Bears at the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like that one. Another game I really want everyone to stay away from is this Texans Jags, especially if you're on the Jags. I mean, if you hit the Texans plus 8.5, I would understand the fundamentals, but the Texans defense has been all over the place. And another game, if you're betting the Chargers Vikings straight up without a teaser, without some sort of advantage added, I would suggest not betting that game. I would suggest not doing it. So that's where I'm at. Those are the three I'm staying away from. And it's tough for me to say, like, listen, we know how the Chiefs cover spreads, and they do it in a lackadaisical fashion, and they'll leave you in games. They do that with 6-point spreads, let alone 12.5, 13. But I feel like we got stuff to hit this week, and I don't know why no one's talking about the Packers-Saints game. I really like that one, man. I really like the pick in the Packers-Saints. And you guys know I'm not as high on the Packers as the public is. But I'm liking what I'm seeing this week. I like their matchup. Nate Butler, you warned us about Staley and the Chargers last week. I didn't listen and paid the price. Nate, it's all good, man. But I wouldn't be questioning yourself because I made a post on Instagram yesterday. I rewatched the film because I had on 3 games at once on Sunday. But after rewatching the film, there's no reason why the Chargers shouldn't have won that game by 10 points. And just to use specific examples about Staley, firstly, look at that drive before halftime. Left lots of points on the board, terrible clock management. Now go back to that fourth quarter and that last drive. Look at how bad that was handled. And look at how conservative he got. He squinched up his butt cheek. And listen, if you're going to be conservative, fine, be conservative. But he didn't manage the clock right. So he pretty much, listen, on one of those drives, it should have been 6. And that changes the perspective of things. And the crazy thing is, Nate, is it just me, or am I lying about this Titans offensive line, how bad this Titans offensive line is? I felt like every time I looked up at the game on Sunday, Tannehill was getting slaughtered by 3 or 4 dogs. Am I wrong about that? So I don't think the Titans are a good team, man. I understand that was a good spot for Vrabel and all that, and I understand Brandon Staley sucks, but yeah, man, it's just really tough to bet Brandon Staley. And I knew he sucked before, and I always have laid off of his games if I need to. But I'll tell you what, after getting burned in the playoffs with him up like 27, 24 points, I just know this man shouldn't have an NFL job. I don't know why they didn't give the fucking job to Sean Payton this year. Super chat from Barkley Haddad. Thank you. Thank you for the Canadian dollars. I really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Canada. Hope we make a lot of money this week. I'm feeling it this week. Yeah, bucking bulls. I like that one. Horrible weather on the East Coast. Yeah, we have to look at that. And now, can someone answer my question? Because the weather guy, he went off on every game this week. Weather autist returned. It's just, what's the forecast in that Bucs-Philly game? Can someone go look that up for me? And Nick LaFleur, nice to see you, my man. I haven't seen you in a while, Nick. Justin Fields isn't it. He holds the ball too long. The Bears want him to be a pocket passer, and he isn't. Yeah, Nick, I'll defend Justin Fields. But you're fucking right, man. That sack, there were some sacks he took in that game that took points off the board. That just shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen. And he's better than that. He understands football. Like, he doesn't, like, he honestly understands football, man. So he has no excuse for taking some of those sacks he took. Yeah, I'm still not off on Fields, though, but yeah. Jesus, some of the stuff I've seen out of the Bears, man, this year, it's just nuts, man. Okay, the sport. Thank you, my man. Thank you. 17% chance of isolated thunderstorms for Philly, Tampa Bay. Yeah, I don't know if we have any of the Florida guys in here, but anyone who's lived in Florida, I actually used to work probably about an hour from Tampa Bay. We know those rain strikes can come any fucking time. They're normally fast, but they're messy when they hit. Geo Mans. Hi, John. You're awesome. My question was for Jimmy G. Upcoming injury, which he has every year, would really step in. Okay, so, yeah. Listen, Jimmy G is injury prone. But we have to admire his toughness he showed in that Broncos game. That man literally put his health on the line for us to get that money pick against the Broncos. And I like the way this Raiders offense looks this year. I do. But, yeah, man, I understand, like, the Jimmy G injury is coming down the turnpike. Did I miss anything? And the sport lives in Florida. Okay, so he gets it. Philly calling for, okay, I see you guys. Next Patreon question. Charles Kaiser, what's the two-team teaser this week? Charles, I will post it tonight. Really excited. I think listen, nothing's 100% certain, but I think we have a minus 110 like we got last week. Remember last week we got the Bills, and then we got the 49ers. I think we have something equal to that, if not better. Ben John, what's up, Ben? What do you think about taking Jets +3 versus Pats? Zach Wilson is terrible, amen, and doesn't play well versus the Pats. Does he play good against anyone? But I see your point. But I can't see the Pats moving the ball too much on the Jets defense. Yeah, Ben. Yeah, I mean, isn't that, you pretty much summed up why the over-under was 36.5 the last time I checked. And I don't think that over-under was disrespectful by any means. I really don't. Yeah, man, and I'll go back into this game because you kind of made my point where my mind is heading in this game. I expect fuck off from Zach Wilson. Listen, I like Matt Jones more than most people, but the weapons are limited, and also the Patriots just aren't running the ball that good. Like, listen, we know the Dolphins defense has improved this year, but you can still run it on them, and we didn't see the Pats doing much of that. And so when you look at this Jets defense, I know everyone's excited about the Cowboys defense this week or the 49ers defense this week, but I still believe this Jets defense is the best in the league, and I think they'll make big plays that can change this game. Now, when you look at this game on offense, it's going to come down to who runs the ball better. And I think the Jets can run the ball, and I think when you have a dog waiting to come on the field like Dalvin Cook, I think that little bit of magic will be what can spin this game on its head. And I understand, like, you always worry about the Patriots. You always do wonder, okay, is Hoodie going to completely outcoach Salah? Listen, I get it. I understand, and I understand the concerns. But sometimes you have to take Bill Belichick out of the equation and understand that, listen, these coaches on other teams are coaching too. These players are going to play hard. And I like the Jets in this situation, especially points at home. I do remember the game they played last year at the Meadowlands. Zach Wilson did everything to try to lose that game. But I think this Jets defense is too damn good. Aaron Rodgers should be in the building. I want to see what happens. Michael Rodriguez, Mike, I like this question because I was thinking about this on Instagram yesterday. Lawson, do you see Minshew as an upgrade or downgrade from Anthony Richardson? Also, same question with Dalton Young. I think Richardson is an upgrade on Minshew. I got to be honest, but I also think Minshew can play a more polished game. I think they're going to be able to throw it better for sure. And listen, Minshew worked with Steichen, what was it, 3-4 years? Where's our Eagle boys at? Uh, Steichen worked with Minshew at least 2 or 3 years. So I think that will help. I think the offense will flow well, but give me Richardson over Minshew, even at this early stage. I only got 2 games of film from Anthony Richardson, but I've liked what I've seen, and I like his moxie. Just really surprised he's missing this game with a concussion. On the other side, I think Andy Dalton, because I don't listen. I'm not casting any aspersions on Bryce Young, but I think Andy Dalton will be able to run this offense good. And when we know Frank Reich, there's not a lot of creativity, there's not a lot of ingenuity. So I think if you're looking at the Panthers, I think Dalton comes in and plays better, and he gets the offense humming at a higher rate. I mean, this Panthers offense doesn't have a lot of options. Let's be realistic about it. But I still think Dalton's the better guy to stand in the pocket and try to get the ball to Thielen. There's just not a lot of options for a young quarterback. And I know Bryce Young scrambling helps, but he's no Anthony Richardson. So I actually like the Panthers a lot better with Dalton in there. And I do think this Panthers defense can respond. I am really curious about what we see out of the Seahawks this week. Really curious. Good question, Mike. That was one you kind of read my mind. I wanted to address that. Let's get to George. What's up, George? George says, "Morning, John. What do you think the chances of Brady taking over the quarterback position from Jimmy G at some point by Super Bowl in Vegas? Does it look like Jimmy going to pass the upcoming physical?" Okay, what's going on with Jimmy G? You guys are fucking scaring me. What is going on with Jimmy G? Are you guys trying to scare me? Is there an injury I didn't know about? Okay. Okay, no, he's playing this week. But yeah, I get it. He's got chronic foot issues, and he's had 3 or 4 shoulder injuries. I don't think we're going to see Brady back in the NFL. And plus, the situation with Brady is if they approve his ownership, his partial ownership of the Raiders, he can't play for anyone. But that's been lagging, so it gets people going. I don't think we see Brady, man. Do I think we see Jimmy G as Raiders quarterback next year? Probably not. But for this year, I think it's Jimmy G's team. Here we go. Yeah, man. That's where we. Yeah, Jimmy G's got Patreon buzzing today. They were worried about him week 1 against the Broncos, and I understand that. But he came out and he answered our qualms, and the man was bleeding for us to cover that spread. I mean, he did everything, made a bad mistake in the red zone, threw an interception onto like the fucking 2-yard line. But other than that, he played a really good game. Yeah, Del J, I've been following it. The one where I think the storms affect the game most is when I'm looking at the no names Bills one. It makes me feel pretty confident about the no names to cover. On Tuesday when I picked it, I felt like maybe I was showing a bit too much gusto, a bit too much balls picking that, but the weather is calming my concerns. Here we go. Okay, Patreon, you guys are making me nervous today, man. You guys are making me nervous. Prestige. Okay, actually, Jeremy Wheel. What's happening, Lawson? Wondering, have you used Prize Picks and or Underdog for some bets? And if so, what's the best advice you can give for those apps? No, Jeremy, I never use them, like, to be honest. Is that the type of like player prop betting sites? I don't use them, man. Like I said, like I use Pinnacle, and I got 3 or 4 other sports books. And honestly, man, I listen to you guys because I know you guys watch film, but I don't listen to a lot of the media talk. Like, listen, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll look at the injury reports, I'll put on the Pat McAfee show for a laugh or two, and I'll do my thing, watch film, and then I'll read your guys' comments. And after that, I don't consume much media. I don't consume any apps or anything along those lines. I'm sounding like a boomer, but I haven't heard of it, Jeremy. But you can enlighten me in the comment section. One thing I use, one resource I use is Vegas Insider. That's maybe the only betting resource I use. Yeah, man. We talked about it already, Slim, but it's crazy. I mean, the Bears are in collapse mode, and now we can understand why they were so bad these first 2 games. And I'm so tempted by the 12.5, but I can't do it. Because, like you said, this team is in collapse mode. Alvin Williams investigated by the FBI. We're hearing the facility was raided. People are saying that's a lie. I'm not so sure. And we're just seeing overall destruction from the Bears. I mean, their Wednesday was one of the craziest Wednesdays I've seen in an NFL week in my damn life. I mean, so now we know why the Bears have just been so far off. Okay, here we go. Prestige. Lawson, been rolling with you since the COVID 2020 season. And historically, if we went back and forth and did the math, I think you're at least a 75% bounce back spot after a losing weekend. Thank you, my friend. That's why I follow you. Your bounce back is major. This season, I'll keep track. Side note, we got to tip the Fedora to San Fran. They'll make us a lot of money. Yeah, man. Okay, so my questions for the week. What's your number one team out of the below lineup? Which one would you drop? Rams plus 10.5. Okay. Titans plus 11.5. Packers plus 7. Chargers plus 7.5. Raiders plus 5.5. Patriots plus 5.5. The Patriots-Jets game, I mean, it makes mathematical sense because either way, that's going to be close. And thank you for the praise, my man. Good job on you having the balls and gusto to bet the 49ers last night. Which one would I drop out of that? I would probably drop Rams because there's just too many question marks in that game. Too many question marks, but do I think the Rams keep it close? Absolutely. The only ones that get me a little bit nervous are Rams and Titans plus 10.5 and a plus 11.5. Like for me, man, I love the Packers. Teasing them. I like the Chargers teasing them. I absolutely love the Raiders teasing them. And the mathematical formula for Pats Jets is right on, taking Pats plus 5.5. And that's even talking to someone who think the Jets are going to find a way to fucking win the game. I like it. And I understand the methodology with the Titans plus 11.5. I mean, the Browns can barely put up 17 points with their defense forcing 3 or 4 turnovers. Yeah, I'd probably drop the Rams out of there. And I really like the Browns too, but I mean, we know Mike Vrabel game going to be close. Thank you, Prestige. All right, Jay. What's up, Jay? Yo, Lawson, your statement to this parlay: Panthers plus 6, Dolphins minus 6, Falcons, Lions over 45.5. I absolutely love that Falcons, Lions over 45.5. It was a money pick last week. Last week, another money pick on the over-under video. Seahawks, Lions went over. So I love that over. Panthers plus 6. I love it. Just a little bit of caution on the Dolphins. A little bit. Although I just don't want to touch the Dolphins-Broncos game. I mean, Jay, can you understand why? I mean, we've cashed with the Dolphins 2 straight fucking weeks. And you would think the Broncos could have a bounce back performance. I mean, they were up 21-3, and then we saw what transpired. I took that one really, really tough. Yeah, I would just get the Dolphins out of there to be cautious. Just to be cautious. Lawton Hargrove. What's up, Lawton? You nailed Robert Woods. Yeah, man, he was way over. I think it was 35.5 last week. Who's your number one player prop this weekend? Okay, I wrote some down. We're getting to the player props now. I wrote some down that were interesting to me, and I still haven't decided which one was my favorite, so I'm going to think out loud a little bit. Now, one that was kind of interesting was Bijan Robinson's over rushing yards. I think it was 69.5. But I do have concerns about Arthur Smith and the way he's using him. A lot of people are liking Stephon Diggs over 69.5. I don't know, man. I think the weather could be a bit of an issue. Okay. Here's what I like. I like Dak Prescott over 21 completions. Or if you don't like that, give me Dak Prescott over 231.5 passing yards. I absolutely like that one. And if you want to be cheeky and go against the grain, give me Derrick Henry under the 71.5 rush yards. People aren't going to like it, but people didn't like the Robert Woods pick last week. They just didn't. What's up, Johnny Guns? Good to see you, man. Johnny, I feel it, man. I feel Philly having some problems this week. And we got Philly fans on here. They were kind of warning me going into the Vikings game. I picked the Vikings to cover, had very little confidence. They were kind of worrying me, man. Like, they were pretty much saying something's not smelling right with the Eagles. And this Bucs defense, like, my big question about the Bucs was, are these guys going to play hard for Todd Bowles? Because we know that defense is stacked. It seems as if. Yeah, I appreciate you guys liking the Robert Woods one. I'm still mulling over which one of those I like the best. I would probably have to go Derrick Henry under 71.5. No one's going to like that, though. No one is going to like that. And I also, if you want to be more positive, I like the Josh Jacobs combined over 91.5. with rushing and receiving yards. And I got to talk about the Steelers. You know, when you think of Mike Tomlin, when you think of that Steelers organization, you think defense, and you would think they would be able to stop the run. The big issue with the Steelers the last 4 or 5 years, they haven't stopped the run well. And when you got a Watt brother on your team, they're great to have. They're great players. But like D'Amico Ryan said when he played with the other Watt brother, he said they don't play the run. They don't. They don't. TJ Watt rarely plays the runs. He'll do it like 4 or 5 times a game, like on 3rd and 1. But he won't. And I think the Raiders are going to create crevices. And we've seen a few screen passes to Josh Jacobs every game. So I think that will find a way to go over the 91.5. It is a lot. It is a little bit hard to find. But I like that one. And there was another one I'm trying to find. But we got other questions about props, so we'll get to it. Okay, here we go. And maybe Deshaun Watson under 234.5 passing yards. Like, I think the Browns play good, but they just can't seem to get anything going. And even though this Titans secondary isn't good at coverage, I just don't see the Browns getting more than like 190 pass yards. Yeah, man. Okay, here we go. Let's get to Let's get to Peter Knox. From the limited sample of 2 weeks, which team do you think will be the Detroit Lions of last year? What I mean by this, which team do you think will generally be underrated by Vegas and we will generally have a good chance of winning bets with that team? Guys, Peter, I got to be sincere about something. I think it will be the Broncos or the Raiders. And so far, we've had good results betting the Raiders. We hit them in week 1. We didn't get a good result from the Broncos last week with the Commanders game, but I don't think my philosophy or analysis was all that far off base. I do like what the Raiders are doing, and I don't like Josh McDaniels because of his man management, but we all know he knows how to call offensive plays, and that Raiders offense seems humming. So out of the Raiders and the Broncos, I would lean towards Raiders, although you're seeing when I picked the Raiders-Steelers game and when I put that Raiders-Steelers game up on Patreon, it was +1. And then we saw the big heavy hitters come in and that Raiders game moved to -2.5. Now, let me think of another one because I think this is a good, interesting question. And the Lions and Dolphins were our babies last year. We just sat on their back and they rode us like a rhino thrashing through the league and the spread and the books. It's a lot will say the Rams. I mean, but they're one Matt Stafford hit from being like a 3-win team. But as an other alternative, I want to go with the Browns too. I want you to think about those 3 teams. I'm trying to find a team from the NFC, but we had. I'll let you know when I got a team from the NFC. But those 3 teams, I think we're gonna get. Also, you guys know I'm not a big Packers guy. But the Packers could be interesting. That's one of the teams I've been watching in the NFC. Yeah, Rico, I know, man. Listen, I don't have inside info. Like, I'm not in the building. I'm not making the game plan. I didn't know Alvin Williams was being fucking investigated by the FBI. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff I didn't see. And like I said, 3-1 on week 1. 3-1 in week 1, but yeah, man, the Bears got your boy, man. They got your boy. Because like Peter Knox was asking, I'm trying to find our Lions. I'm trying to find our Dolphins of last year. If the woman was beautiful, people would have found her already. I'm trying to find a lady with potential, a lady, everyone's overlooking. And then, you start going out with her, everyone starts noticing, oh, she's actually beautiful, right? Yeah, that's what happened last year at the Lions and Dolphins. And surprise, surprise, we were still able to hit the Dolphins this year and get some pretty decent spreads. So that's where we're at. We got to find the lady, not everyone's gushing about. And I did take a lot of flack for the Lions last year, and that's fine. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you have to look in places people don't want to look. And that's what we're going to fucking do, man. And you guys are all mature about this. Like, you understand, like, I'm not saying, the Raiders are going to win 12 games, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Ben. Falcons too, man. Falcons too. I mean, I'm against them this week, but I do think there's things we can expose with the Falcons. I've been really frustrated with some of the stuff I've seen from Desmond Ridder, though. Really, really worried about him. But the rest of the team's looking pretty good. Arthur Smith, I don't know what they were doing the first 3 quarters on defense, sitting in the softest zone possible. But once they went man-to-man against Jordan Love, you saw the stops pile up. Okay, let's get to the next Patreon question. Caveman Luke, sup Lawson, of the 4 teams in the championship games last year, which will be back there this year? 49ers, I like them. Now, right, the Eagles are a tough one to call because this league is about peaking in November, December. And I don't want to roll the Eagles out, but I've been saying this whole year, when I saw the Cowboys get Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, I felt like the Cowboys caught up a little bit, man. So I do like the Cowboys in that mix. You know, I don't want to count out the Eagles, but based on what we've seen so far, you got to throw the Cowboys in that hat. Now on the other side, okay, who's the championship game last year? It was Bengals Chiefs, correct? Man, it'll be. I don't think the Chiefs get there. I don't think the Chiefs get there. But don't take anything I say about the Chiefs too seriously because we know they end up pulling magic out of hats. Big Red, Pat Mahomes. I mean, we know how damn good they are. With the Bengals, the AFC's the toughest. I'm not ruling out the Bengals getting back, though. But if they lose week 1, it could be problems. I don't know Joe Burrow's health. And I didn't like the Bengals losing Jesse Bates. And I know everyone said, oh, they replaced him. No, not really. And a player like Jesse Bates, honestly, with all the hate on the Bengals offense, a player like Jesse Bates forcing a smart, high IQ turnover kind of was the difference in that Bengals-Ravens game. Next question on Patreon. Good question, Caveman. Patent artist. What it do, John? Been a fan. Your insight is priceless. Money, money, money. Thank you, Patent. Nice to see you, man. Craig Story. Hey, Lawson, what would be your number 1 prop for Sunday? Dak Prescott over pass yards. And if you don't like that one, go Josh Jacobs over 91.5 rush and pass reception yards. Stephen Laidlaw, best damn gambling show on the internet. Your favorite backside or total on the weekend. Also, anybody else have anyone else you have this week could ask you the same question. Man, I'll give you one thing, Stephen. The over-under I like the most is Lions-Falcons. When I make the picks on Patreon this week, I will mark one. I will mark one that I like the most. So I won't play you out on that, Stephen. And thank you for the high praise, man. Canyon Wiz! I won't be able to make the live show, but I'm hoping you could throw together your best 4-game, 13-point teaser for me on the comment thread. Okay, let's go. You 13 points? 30, okay, you want 13? I'll give you 13. I mean, we're going to lose value with this the way we're crossing 0, my friend. But I'm gonna go for it. Okay, what's another one? What's another one? Okay. Falcons. Gotcha. No, not Falcons. Okay. And one second. Okay, next question. Next question. We got the old Colsey Pickle. Hey, John, love the content, brother. Here's the bets I'm liking. Let me know your thoughts. Seattle first half -2.5. Like it. I actually like that. That is cheeky. That is thinking outside of the box. And the Panthers have been starting every game slow. Like, listen, I think the Panthers cover the full game. But for first half, Seahawks, I like what you're trying to do there. Okay, Jets, Pats, first half under 18.5. Okay, let me do the math in my head. So when I look at this Jets-Patriots game, I see like maximum like a 10-6 type score, maximum like 10-7 going into half. Yeah, I like that under the 18.5. That I like that. You're going to be sweating a little bit, and we know crazy shit can happen in this league, but we could see like a 9-6 game or like a 10-6 game going into the half on that. Derek, hey brother, on this 7-point teaser, which 2 games would you remove is the most sketchiest to you? Buffalo plus a half a point. Miami plus a half a point. Jacksonville -1. Baltimore -1. KC -5.5. Dallas -5.5. Buffalo plus 0.5. I would remove that, especially with us hearing about the weather. Commanders got a good defensive front. Why take the risk there? Why dip your foot in when you don't have to? I like what you did with the Jags and the Ravens there. I like the KC. I like the Dallas. Just take out Miami. Like I said, I'm staying away from Miami. They've made us so much money these last 2 years. Hit the like button, share the videos. But let's be careful with them. Let's get back to them next week. Thank you, Derek. Mrs. Cabral, what's up? Aloha, Lawson. I'm in a Survivor League. For this week, would you use Jaguars or Kansas City? Kansas City. Kansas City. I appreciate all your hard work you put in your picks. I'll write it because, let's see, Casey. But yeah, man, Casey would be a good Survivor pick. I like the way you're thinking there. It is tempting to use Jags, but we need to remember that Texans-Jags game from last year, and eventually maybe I'm grasping at straws. Like, I think the Texans might actually be able to put together a game, but it's been ugly so far, man. It's been ugly. Jared Hart, what's up, man? Jared, you told us about them Bucks. Them Bucks are coming, man. Okay, next game. Next question. What do you think about Lions -3 and Titans plus 3.5? My favorite morning picks. I think Goff has a field day at home. Juicy. I fucking love the Lions this week. And, you know, we were on the Falcons last week, and I give credit to this Falcons team. I like what Arthur Smith is doing. But when you got Desmond Ridder against Jared Goff, that's going to be a fucking problem. And everyone should go look at Ritter's tape. I mean, the stat line ended up looking good against the Packers, but we need to look at the tape. A lot of that passing yardage was on a trick play Arthur Smith drew up. Credit to Arthur Smith, though. I love the Lions. I think this Lions run defense is better than last year. I think they're going to come in, fight, and stand their ground. Titans plus 3.5. Listen, the fundamentals are right. The fundamentals are right here, my friend. Vrabel, you get the hook. Titans still can play defense. You got Jeffrey Simmons, no Nick Chubb. But I am worried about this Titans offense. I would not bet the Titans. I'm worried about their offensive line specifically. And firstly, we saw what happened to the Bengals when their offensive line wasn't winning battles. This Browns defense can eat you, spit you out, then shred your bones. I would think about a different team other than Tennessee. Like I said, fundamentally sound. Titans plus 3.5. It makes sense. It makes logic. People have won a lot of money betting that way. I just would not be doing it this week. Thank you for the question, Juicy. Canyon Wiz! I'm going to the Raiders-Steelers game with my dad this weekend. We're big Steelers games. That's why I can't tail the Raiders pick, even though I know how dog shit the Steelers team is. Matt Canada! That being said, can you give me your 2-3 best player props for that game? I'd like to throw in some action. Canyon, because it's a special day with your dad, check back tonight, check back Saturday morning. I will get back to you on that. I didn't see your question until now. I'm sorry, but does Colorado have a chance versus Oregon? I don't think so. I watched the Colorado State game, and, you know, I love Deion. You guys know I was behind Deion since day one, and I'm no college football expert, but I think Oregon's going to run them out of the game. I think they are. Marcy, last question on Patreon. Got 2 teasers locked in. Thoughts? 3-leg NFL teaser plus 270. Titans at Cleveland under 42.5. Colts at Ravens under 48.5. Eagles at Tampa Bay under 49. Then you got the no names plus 12.5, Tampa Bay plus 10.5, Rams plus 8.5. Marcy, I'm a little bit nervous about the Rams, but I like what you're thinking there. It's just there's so many questions about the Bengals entering this game, but I like it. I like the fundamentals of it. And the over-under teaser, I do like it a lot. I do like it a lot. The only one I worry about is Tennessee Cleveland because close games tend to push over, but I believe that's like a 2017 game, a 21-17 game. So I like those teasers. I have no problem with that. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Just going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. We're gonna get Michael Mann and Lauren on. 1 second. Can I ask a question? Why isn't anyone talking about the Chargers on the teaser? I mean, could I be? Why isn't anyone talking about the Chargers on the teaser? Because the math makes sense, the logic makes sense. My Vikings are not that good. Why is no one talking about? Why is no one talking about the Chargers on the teaser? That's one thing I don't get. Thank you, Steve Andrews, for joining on Patreon. I appreciate it, my guy. Thank you, Rochelle. Appreciate it. Glad to see you guys on. Glad to see you guys. I missed a question from Ray Rouse. How did I miss a question from Ray Rouse? I love fucking Ray Rouse. And Cows, why am I missing these questions? Why am I missing these questions? Okay, I'll get to you guys. Let me get Michael Mann on and Lauren real quick. My bad about that if I missed your question because I was just reading. Fuck, man. Anyways, that's life. I'll get to them. Okay, okay, here we go. Okay, it's just getting Lauren on. Let's see. Okay, I sent the invites. Okay, let me see what I missed. Okay, so I'm actually surprised the odds are not that bad. Almost a double up. What are we talking about? Just got back. Yeah, I believe he bought a Saints hat. And the funny part, listen, I don't live in the United States anymore. The last time I was back for like 3 weeks during the summer. But he told me a Saints fitted hat cost $50. I always thought they were like 24, 27, 35 at most. $50. Chris, if you're going to start, if you're going to bet that Carolina game, I do think Carolina is the side in that. Because listen, the Seahawks are vulnerable to backdoor covers. The Seahawks offense has been good this year, but we need to remember the Lions turned it over 3 times. That Lions offense was absolutely cooking the Seattle defense. And for all the talk and hype about the Seattle defense this year, they haven't been that good. Now, I know Frank Reich sucks, and that's why it's not a money pick or why I'm not advocating anyone to bet it. But if you feel the need to bet that game, I think Carolina's the side there. And also, I think people are overstating the Seahawks home field advantage. I mean, it hasn't been that way in like 4 or 5 fucking years. I mean, remember when we won a lot of money last year? We had Atlanta on the road with Mariota. We got a victory there. So, I mean, the Rams got a victory there. I just don't think this home field advantage is as big a deal as people think with the Seahawks. Like, honestly, the best home field advantages in this league are probably in fucking Florida or the Bills when it's snowing. I know no one wants to hear that, but it's just home field just isn't as big as it used to be. And that's why we won so much money during COVID, because we never really changed our bets based off that unless it was like a Florida game or a snow game or a bad weather game. Brian Webb, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Good day, Lawson. Let's get this money. Do you still feel strong about the Eagles in Tampa under? Is it 46 still? If it's 46 still, I still love it, Brian. And Colts game. Okay. Do you still feel strong about Eagles and Tampa under? Yes, I do. Colts game, Tennessee, Cleveland, and Miami game. Nice call, 49ers. Thank you, Brian. Okay, I actually have them here because I really liked this over-under table this week. Yeah, listen, if the Titans-Cleveland's still at 39.5, I fucking like it. I do think one people need to look at is the Saints-Packers over 42.5. That is calling out to me just a wee bit. Now let's look at the Miami game. What's the over under in the Miami game? Let me get to it. It's borderline. It's borderline. Where's Michael Mann at? Listen, I think that one is really borderline. So, but I like it, man. I think that game goes under. You gotta think, man, that Broncos defense is going to play a little bit better. Listen, I'm not getting sold on it. But you got to think they're going to play a little bit better. Lauren, I'll get you in real quick. Just sending another invite to Michael Mann. Not sure where he's at. Okay, Anthony Babcock on Patreon says, Miami is my favorite team. I think it's a close game, but I'm hoping blowout on the Finns part. I mean, there is a chance the Broncos get boat raced. I mean, whenever a team plays Miami, there's always that shot. I can see upset, though, looking past towards Bills. Okay, I got you. Okay, where is Michael Mann? Yeah. RG, I do think it impacts them a lot. I'm just not in meltdown mode like everyone else. Like, because if they didn't bring in Stephon Gilmore, I would be in meltdown mode. But really, we all know the strength of the Cowboys defense. I like their scheme. They always play man to man, although burn my ass against the Packers last year. But also, I think the defensive line is the strength. Like Micah Parsons is the strength. And if you put Gilmore back there, they also got some good periphery options, some good cornerback depth, pretty good safeties. I think they'll be fine. And Jerry, he could make a move. Q Rose. Yeah, Lauren's on. Lauren's on, Michael Mound. Lauren's on. I'm just have her in the waiting room until you come in. Q Rose, how come you don't gamble on college football games? Well, because I focus all my energy to the NFL. Like I watch every game every single week during the week. That's what I do. And I've always been good at it. I used to be good at college, but it was when I was a kid, man. Because I used to go home from football practice at 10:30 a.m. We got in there early, and I would watch college football from 12 noon to fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd watch NFL the next day, same way. It's just I don't watch that much college football, and I saw some of the big bettors. They're like 3-9 this year, 4-11 this year. Could I get away with that shit? I think I would be shot in the road if I started a season like fucking 4-10. Honestly. And these are motherfuckers on TV. And granted, college football's fucking tough. But they always seem to like ride the same games. Every single week they ride the like same games. And I'm just saying, like, anyways, like I'm talking about Bear, and I actually respect Bear. I actually respect Bear a lot. And that Stanford Steve dude on game day, he's like fucking like 4-14 or some shit. Could you imagine that? Michael Mann, I cannot sit all day. I have bets to put up tonight. So if you can't get on, we can just wait till next week. I do think it is a bit of a trap. But that's just how I look. And I do wonder, like, why. I do wonder, because I know how much a point is. Like, when we bring Lauren on, like, we all know how much a point means in the NFL, and we all understand that. It's just in college, it just feels like the points don't fucking matter. And also, these college games are kind of dreadful to watch, too. Like, listen, American sports, you get a lot of commercials. That's why I do bet soccer during the off season. I bet USFL, but Jesus, bad to watch. I do like college football because Deion's got me back into it. But these games are damn near like 5 hours. It was 5 hours. I fucking sat there for 5 hours, that Colorado State-Colorado game, and I'm not even complaining about the overtime. Yeah, but Dustin, is it really lame to just wait in the wings and do something you're good at? Yeah, let's roll with Laura, man. Yeah. Oh, did she leave? Lauren, go accept the invite. I think I clicked you off on accident. Okay, here we go. Yeah, but if you know about Turkish handball, I know about Brazilian soccer. I watch it. I dedicate a lot of time to it. It's just like, even during the NFL season, I don't have enough time to dedicate to it to where I want to put the money I put on it. I mean, I'm not betting $50. Kyle, have a great night. Lauren, what's up? Where's Michael Mann? He's kind of, I don't know what's going on with him, but good night to you.
How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. What's up with you?
Not much. I had the Saints Go Marching In playing on Alexa, but I just went ahead and turned it off because Mike's not here to hear it. So I've already actually talked to Mike today, and he wanted me to come on first before he comes on to do his walk of shame. So bring his ass on, let him eat his loss, show the Who Dat Nation that you are now wearing a Saints hat, get it over with.
Well, you want to know what's most funny about it? That he had to spend $50 on that thing.
$50. And I told him if he returns that damn hat, I am never coming on the show again because he's going to need to wear it again later in the year.
Oh, because you think the Saints are going to sweep?
Absolutely.
So let's just get into the Saints because I want to get your opinion on one game specifically. What do you think about the Saints-Packers? Do you think?
So I think the Saints-Packers is very interesting because I think that Aaron Jones is banged up. I think that Christian Watson is still banged up. Bakhtiari is just a lifetime of bang up. I think the Saints got a chance. Again, I don't try to roll with my own team. We talk about that. I do it on a very rare occasion. And I actually shot myself in the foot last week. They were my fourth team in a parlay, and it was a push. So with 3, that's why I don't do that. On the Monday night when I was pretty much cashing a 4-teamer, I lose to a garbage touchdown at the end. So prime example, guys, leave your, you know what I mean? Like I preach it and I did it because I felt strongly about it. And the whole bet with Michael was kind of like an additive for me to really want to roll in there. So I went against what I normally do. But I think we got a good chance. I'll be honest with you, in the last 8 games, the Saints have allowed no more than 20 points. So I don't think they're going to be, I know you're on the other side. I know a lot of people are on the other side. I'm not a homer. I know when the Saints are going to lose, like, when there's better talent on the other side. I don't think Jordan Love is going to have this kind of a field day against the Saints that people think he's going to. That Saints defense, people might want to call them aged or whatever. They're tough. And Chris Olave is a dog. And he's not getting covered. He's catching the deep ball. So, and Rashid Shaheen, I can't even pronounce his name. He's finding ways to get open. Michael Thomas is getting open. We have a wide receiver just always open. Now, whether or not Carr can get the ball to them is another question. But we've always got somebody open. And it's going to be really dangerous next week when Alvin Kamara comes back.
Yeah, because the run game has kind of been what has been missing. But yeah, that Saints-Panthers game really wasn't close. No. I'm surprised the Saints didn't pound them like 17, 20 points the way it was going.
And he just, rookie quarterbacks don't do well against seasoned veteran defenses. They just don't.
Yeah, I mean, with like the Jordan Love thing, I guess this is my concern because let's just use the Falcons game as an example. For instance, like Falcons, they just sit really soft in like a soft zone, and then he's strutting them the first 3 quarters. Finally, they go man to man, and then you saw he struggled, but he had no pressure. Listen, I know this Saints defense old as fuck. But yeah, I do worry about what happens when he gets a little bit of pressure because when the Falcons did generate pressure, it was pretty ugly. That's why I think that's like I think it's the most interesting game of the week because I do like some of the things the Saints are doing.
They are. They're doing really, really well, especially in the defense. And Carr, when he's getting, when he puts together a good drive, he puts together a good drive. And he can throw the deep ball. Shaheen can catch it. Olave can catch. Olave is a dog, man. He is a legit dog. So, that wide receiver rookie class 2022, I think, right, was just the whole wide receiver rookie class in general that year was great with Drake London, Chris Olave, and, all of the people that they had. But I think the Saints got exactly who they wanted when they traded up for Olave.
Got you. Yeah. Firstly, Daniel Jones, thank you for the super chat. Gabe, the Patreon questions I missed, I'll go type and respond to. I'll make sure I type out a thorough answer for all of them. Michael Mann joining the show. He's got his Saints hat.
Look at this. You better take those sunglasses off. Mr. I don't need any points, money line, cocky this, cocky that, had to spend his own $50 on that damn hat, which is well worth than you sending me $200. I would much rather you walking into Lids and have to buy a Saints hat in North Carolina where you live, because that is legit the best thing I could, that's the best thing I could ask for right now.
Did you go to Lids?
Awesome, Lauren. If I may make a statement real quick, I mean, Saints fans in the chat, Lauren, feel free to take a piece of me. I talked so much shit going into that game, thinking the Panthers would actually come out with a competent game plan to be able to kick their ass, the arch rival's ass. And Frank Reich came out with one of the worst game plans I have ever seen, and I spent the last 3 years watching Matt rule. We beat the Saints last year twice for one reason, because we were able to run the rock on them. We were killing Atlanta on the ground, running the rock on them. So going into New Orleans, guess what we do? Throw the ball 10 times, run it to start the game, get our O-line hurt. Oh, yeah, we have no receivers who get open. But, yeah, God forbid I actually expect my offense to come in with a decent game plan, and now I'm going to have the Saints hat, this boogery gold Saints hat. But, yeah, that's how I'm
doing. I think it's great.
Never said nice hat, I hate you.
I think it's great. Yeah. I think it's absolutely great. And you just and I wouldn't return that if what's funny is Michael Mann told me today when I talked to him that the guy at the salesman at Lids was literally about to commit suicide selling him this hat. Like, what are you doing buying this hat?
Dude, and shout out to Panthers fans who went and witnessed that crap in person. Because they showed up. I gotta give them credit. But yeah, dude, it was not a. I'm not lost.
It wasn't a good day in Charlotte.
You've been against
Bryce
Frank
Young
Reich.
was running for his life.
It took an hour for me to switch sides and join you on the anti-Reich train, because that was pathetic. I don't think he did a single thing right. Colin Blaze.
Do you know what's crazy about this is I didn't even know about the Nick Chubb injury until way long later when they decided to put it on the Saints and Carolina game, because that's how bad
the game was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I gotta just do this real quick because he missed it. Okay, so Matt, firstly, you can chime in if you like it. Eagles Tampa at 46 is probably the over-under I like the most, besides for the Falcons. The Colts game, listen, I'm kind of like, I don't want to fuck with that Colts-Ravens game. The Tennessee-Cleveland game, I still like, as long as it's 39.5. I didn't check today. Also, the Miami game, I do like that. And listen, there's always a chance Miami can explode, but I do like that, Brian. Okay, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, I didn't have anything.
But Mike, anyways, man, it's just there really is a real lack of urgency from Frank Reich. And I wasn't exaggerating last year when I said they used like 3 or 4 formations the whole year. And anyways, man, it's just bad. And plus, like, it's like they didn't have a plan for the zone for his own defense. And that's one thing that really bothered me. And then, like you said, the lack of run game. Listen, this offensive line wasn't made to go back. They were made to go forward. So you got to have a consistent plan and strategy. That's what's frustrating about it. And I felt like the Saints maybe played their, like, C- game too. I know it's only week 2, so I don't want to be too harsh, but felt like the Saints came out there and played like a C+, C- game, and you guys didn't take advantage. It's
I
just,
thought the same. I thought the Panthers defense played a fantastic game. I have to give them full credit. I mean, they were hitting everything that moved across the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to take anything away from them on tonight, but the fact the Panthers even scored 17 points, given with how bad they played, is a miracle. I mean, they deserve to get shut out. It was pathetic. And something, going back to Reich, something else that's been bothering me too. If you watch the Panthers at all last year, probably the formation they dominated most in was the eye coming out in a big boy formation, just pounding you. They haven't done that at all this year. Like, and it's just, I don't get what we're thinking on offense.
well, can I say something?
Yeah.
You know, people say like Steve Wilkes isn't in vogue and whatever, but let's look at two of the few offenses that use fullbacks in this league. What are, and they might be the two best offenses, 49ers and the fucking Dolphins. And plus, Mike Lombardi, I know some people aren't a big fan, but I felt like he broke it down fucking good. The run fits are completely different when you run with a fullback than when you run out of like a single back zone. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, it really bothers me. Credit to the Saints, though. But I don't know, Lauren, if you agree with it. But that felt like a C- effort from the Saints. It didn't feel like they were good.
Definitely from the offense, but the defense has been playing good both first 2 weeks. I don't see a problem with our defense. For the last 8 games, they've held everybody under 20 points. I mean, that's not, you can't ask for too much more. A bunch of field goals. I don't even think a touchdown was scored until the second half.
But that's what's puzzling me about it, because listen, I feel like Carr looks good. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's going to take some time. You know, it's definitely going to take some time. He's in a new system, but he's got the great pieces around him. I'm telling you right now. Did you see how much of Taysom Hill there was on Monday night?
Yeah.
They're adjusting, man.
Wait till Alvin Kamara gets back next week. Wait till Alvin Kamara gets back. I mean, it was so bad for Carolina. They let Tony Jones Jr. punch in 2 touchdowns in 5 minutes.
No, I mean, in my opinion, the Panthers went all out to stop the pass, and which they succeeded in doing, and they just kind of let whoever wanted to pound them. Which I think was the right strategy, given that y'all have really good receivers.
Right, we do. I mean, and that's what I was explaining to Lawson. I don't know who on Green Bay is going to cover everybody that's going to be open. I just don't.
Jair.
Yeah, Mike, you can take off the hat. It's pretty funny.
No, he can't. No, he can't.
Oh, he's got to wear it the whole time. All right, so let's transition.
Just a heads up.
Yeah, what? So there was like some games. I already talked with Lauren about Saints Packers. Like, I think that is one of the most interesting games of the week.
Don't touch either team for your survivor.
Oh God, no!
Don't even touch it.
If that's what you're down to, oof.
Yeah, we're way too early in the year to be going to that.
Yeah, okay, what game? Okay, so let's. Lauren likes to talk about the Bills. So listen, I mean, this is looking kind of dangerous, and I want to just parcel this before someone goes at me. Listen, I understand. Maybe I'm exaggerating because the Commanders are down 21-3 to the Broncos. We still have to give them credit for coming back. I think they can damn near beat the Bills. I mean, with this rain coming in, I'm not trying to overreact because we know how that goes. Like, don't bet weather, but the weather seems to be helping the Commanders, and I'm not happy with this Bills offensive line still. I don't even know if they're league average. Like, if you get the league average, you can at least be competitive. I am wondering that, man. I like Washington this week.
I did too. And the reason why, when you can get pressure on Josh Allen, he is a completely different player. And Washington can bring pressure up front. And Allen, as good as he is, as much as I like him, as much as I defend him, I don't know that they're going to lose the game, but that's too many damn points for a team that can really bring pressure up front. So I'm on the 6.5. I got it at 6.5. you have to sometimes you can't tug at your heartstrings when you're handicapping. You just can't. I have a love for Joe Burrow. I have a love for Justin Herbert, a love for Josh Allen. All these Joe, Justin. I got a love for all these guys. But that whole quarterback class, I really do. But there's times when you have to fade certain things, and kudos to the Bills for putting a absolute ass whooping on the Raiders last week at home. They really did. We all were so tempted on that 9.5. It was so sexy and so appealing and all of that, but nobody really wanted to pull the trigger on it, right? Because we knew better. This is a time when maybe 6.5 should be sexy and appealing.
I agree, and as much as I hate on Ron Rivera, one thing you can bet on him to do is to show up to a big time fight like this. I mean, this is the kind of game. I mean, Lauren will tell you, this is the kind of game that Ron Rivera shows up for, and I think he's going to have a decent plan to come in here and not get down.
He does. Yeah. So, and there's going to be a lot of pressure with Chase Young, and there's just going to be a lot of pressure up front for Josh Allen in order for him to make that kind of adjustment. And we know how he does under pressure up front. He turns the ball over. You know what I mean? So, he can make the deep throw, and he can run for 9,000 yards here and there, and sometimes be the leading rusher of the whole game that he's playing. But he can also throw. He can also turn the ball over. So I don't like laying 6.5, and I don't like using Buffalo as a survivor this week. If you guys are even remotely thinking of that, because it's a non-divisional game, and you think that it's not important and whatever. So I'm actually on the Washington side. And what did I say last week? Does anybody remember what I said about Detroit last week? Anybody?
I don't think that's how that game went.
Yeah,
I don't think that's how that game went. They just had 3 or 4 drastic mistakes. And if you do that in NFL, you'll lose. I just don't think that's what did you say last week specifically?
I said they had no business being that much of a favorite.
Oh yeah. Oh, you were right. I don't know why they opened at 6.5. I don't know why.
Even at 4.5, it was value. I still gave the go ahead at 4.5. 6.5 was just absolutely might as well be a Christmas present. But
so are you picking against the Lions this week?
No, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? If this game gets into a score a shooting match, Atlanta has no shot.
That's what I want to see, because Ritter, if you look at the stats lines, it hasn't looked that bad. Some of the throws against Green Bay were just scary.
Dude, I don't know if there's. I told Lauren this. Might be a bad analogy, but if a football game were determined on who wins on a play-to-play basis for the entire game, similar to how a boxing match is determined, by decisions, Atlanta would be 0-2 because they have been outplayed by both teams they've played this season. And Desmond Ridder really thrown away that Green Bay game. I mean, he tried so hard to give Green Bay turnovers, and they just never capitalized. So I love Detroit to win and cover this week. I don't think it's a money pick just because both of these teams can be very inconsistent sometimes. And I don't trust it at all, but I like Detroit to win and cover. No questions asked.
You've got the battle of these rookie running backs, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. There's some injuries. The David Montgomery injury, say what you want about him, but he's a great asset to that Detroit team.
You're a Jahmyr Gibbs owner this week. This is the week to start him.
Yes, and I am a Jahmyr Gibbs owner, and I'm also a Bijan Robinson owner. Yeah. So this is the week to start both of them, really. If you haven't been starting Bijan this whole time. You should have been.
He's the best.
I'm going to be honest with you. This week, I'm not saying that Detroit can't win by this. It's not this. It didn't open at this absurd 6.5 or whatever that we were at last week, because obviously they, learned their lesson there, right? So, I don't know that I could pull the trigger on this game at all. I think there is way better value to jump on Tennessee plus 3.5. In my opinion, I know Lawson's on the other side. I don't give a damn about what anyone says. Deshaun Watson has shown me jack shit.
Yeah.
So Amari Cooper's injury and the Nick Chubb thing is gone. I know they signed Kareem Hunt. But it's going to be a little while before he even, I know he knows that he's been there before, but the backup, they're like, oh, they have this backup. He had one run for 60 yards or 80 yards or something. I'm sorry, but Vrabel will keep them in this game, and you're going to get 3 and a hook, even 3. That is way too appealing to me than to think that the Browns, are going to be able to. And I know Hopkins has been in and out of practice, and same thing with Treylon Burks. They're going to play. I'm sure. They're going to play. I'm not on the Browns. I'm way on the other side. I'm on the Colts. I don't care if it's Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew or whatever. Indy plays Baltimore tough. They were getting 9 points last year and damn near were winning up until the last 2 minutes of the game. So giving them that many points, I think, is a little too much. I'm on the Indy side. We talked about the Buffalo thing, and say what you want about Sam Howell. I mean, there's always some quarterback that gets drafted late that proves something. And I mean, Brock Purdy is a prime example. He wasn't on anybody's fantasy league this year. He didn't get drafted. I picked him up when I lost Aaron Rodgers, and he got me 35 points last night. So I think that Washington, getting back to that, can hang with them. This Vegas game with
Can I get
Vegas.
to the Browns one?
Yeah.
Because I think you completely firstly, 80% of the bets are on the Titans.
Really?
So I do put that, I understand the hook. Who knows what's going to be tomorrow? But for me, man, I don't know how you talk about that game without mentioning the offensive line for the Titans.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning, but I don't see any. I have not seen, aside from maybe some running, I have not seen the Deshaun Watson that we saw years ago.
This is going to be a very, very, very defensive heavy game.
Yeah.
Because I don't see the bread and butter of the Browns is to run the ball, and now you go into this matchup without Nick Chubb, and you're going against probably the best run defense in football right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Titans have a damn good run defense. It's just the run defense statistics for the Titans, they do get a little bit, how can I say this, spewed, because they haven't covered anyone in the last 3 years. Lauren's right about Deshaun Watson. I am concerned, and there was guys running wide open all Monday night. I'm not really judging this. I'm judging this based off preseason rankings, because for me, man, Browns have to be able to run the ball. And if they don't, they could get whooped in this game. They'll find a way to run the ball. I don't think I've ever remembered a Browns game where they didn't run the ball. And with the Titans, I don't know what's going on with their offense, but I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is really even a factor anymore. I know he's good. It's just if you can't pass protect, all it is Derrick Henry. I don't know, man. I think the Browns got a better defense, so that's where I'm at. But 3.5 sucks. I understand, but that's why all the bets are on the Titans. I understand that hook sucks, and it's. I do wonder why it is there, because like I said, I think there'd be tons of people going to take the Titans regardless. So that was one of my issues.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not on the Browns to cover that at all. I'm just not. I don't think. I think Derrick Henry. It's week 3. He's due for a big week. You know, he went for 100 yards on us week 1, and it kind of went unnoticed. What's going to happen when he does it against the Browns?
Yeah.
And if Amari Cooper's banged up, I'm sorry, Elijah Moore. I mean, he's kudos to that kid, but you're going to need a little bit more than that, just like Carolina needed more than Adam Thielen. So I don't think I think if Amari is a big issue in that game because there's no Nick Chubb now. So if there's no Nick Chubb and either no Amari or a banged up Amari, Deshaun's already having issues. I don't see it. I don't see how they come out with the win. I don't even see how they come out with the win, period.
Yeah.
I just don't.
It's going to be a very ugly. I'm not betting this game. I don't know why we're still talking about this one. This is not the game to bet this week. I know we've said this about a couple, but one I will be betting that Lawson is going to cringe over. I am all on the Patriots over the Jets. And I just see
86% are.
Yeah, well, I mean, my logic is there's no way that I can see Mac Jones losing a turnover battle to Zach Wilson. I think Belichick is going to be more than prepared to take Zach Wilson down. And when you can't sustain, the last thing you can do against the Patriots is turn the ball over. I think. I think it's going to be very hard for either team to score points, and I just trust Mac Jones to make more plays and not turn the ball over as much. I mean, I know it's pretty simple logic here, but this is how I see this game going.
When was the last time the Jets actually beat the Patriots?
They've lost. The Jets have lost like 14 straight to them or something. Belichick has had their number for the last like 7 or 8 years. Which I mean,
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I'm just curious because I think Zach Wilson got his ass kicked last week.
14 straight times.
Yeah,
14 straight wins. Okay, all right.
Money line.
I mean, listen, streaks are made to be broken, right? But I don't see it. Lawson knows this game inside and out. If he's on the Jets, there's a reason why.
I know.
I don't see it, but you know what I mean? I don't see it. The Patriots can't go 0-3 and even think that they're going to maintain any type of dignity in this division.
Dignity's a funny word. Yeah, there's very little dignity left with that organization.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to lose to the Jets minus Aaron Rodgers and you've beaten the shit out of them for the last however many years, I mean, I don't even know why show up week 4. You might have everyone just go home. Like,
we're probably overthinking this at this point too, but I would say the Patriots probably have better special teams as well.
Wow.
In defensive games, this is the kind of thing.
But aren't we to the point where when we look at Patriots games, like, are we so sure they have this quote unquote coaching advantage? Like I said in the upset to bet video, I honestly feel like, for instance, like there's a tribe in Africa. They were called the Maji, and when like the Germans were like invading in like the 18th, 19th century, they like lost. They thought like if they went in naked, they could win the battle against bullets. And same thing like with like 19th century, like Hansel and Gretel, and this guy's gonna come in and he's an omnipotent force. Like I just feel like we always give the Patriots a coaching advantage in a game that I'm not sure that exists anymore. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, you guys were the first people getting on that Matt Patricia hire last year, and you were obviously correct. I don't know about this coaching advantage they have.
I don't think there's a coaching advantage for the Jets, but I just know there's a coaching advantage with Belichick going against Zach Wilson.
And one person goes, terrible analogy. I'm taking the coach that didn't draft Zach Wilson. Like, I don't know if Salah was like saying, I'm taking Zach Wilson. or he's the guy who got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I mean,
if Rodgers were playing this game, I would be all on the Jets.
Oh yeah,
well,
this would be way
the Jets also wouldn't be the underdog.
Yeah,
True,
they'd be like 6.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been gone since the 4th play of week 1. We need to move on.
Some stat during the figure out how many points Zach Wilson has scored against Bill Belichick defenses in his career. Like I'm
How
genuinely
many times has he scored, period, on anybody?
like it can't be over like 30.
Yeah, no, I remember specifically last year, I remember me and Lauren were both on the Patriots going to the Meadowlands. I believe it was a -1.5. Yeah, we won the game 17-3, and Zach Wilson was treacherous.
Yeah.
Never even got the ball past midfield.
Yeah, it's just I do feel like there is a little bit of like folklore with Bill Belichick, and I don't think I'm wrong about that. Like I like, for instance, I'm not going to even go to like the Miami game, but even week 1, people were just saying, "Oh, Bill will figure it out. Oh, Bill's going to figure it out," and I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen great coaching from the Patriots or anything like that. Like, for instance, like Lauren, remember week 1 against the Dolphins, how much the Chargers ran the ball on Vic Fangio's defense. And that is like the weakness of Vic Fangio's weakness. Did they run the ball Sunday night? Like, if I was a Patriots better in that game, I would at least say, okay, we're going to be able to run the ball against Vic Fangio's 7-man fronts where he puts both safeties 30 yards back. They weren't even able to do that. So I just wonder, man, what's going on there?
So I'm going to answer this, and I was talking about this to Mike earlier, is that there's something to be said about these games that are being, specifically the Chargers, that are being lost by 3 points or less, or being up 28-0. It's coaching. It all comes down to coaching. So stop blaming it all on Justin Herbert. You know,
no, I know, Lauren, and that's what. And we even mentioned that when we were talking about that game. So I have a clean conscience. We mentioned coaching. And it's a fucking problem, man. It
is a problem.
I mean, that game against did any of you guys see, now that I got you guys here, did any of you guys see that Titans-Chargers game, or at least a little bit of it last week?
I watched the whole damn thing.
Was I off?
No, you were absolutely right. And I'm telling you right now, it's just, that's why Mike Vrabel this week, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see how he loses this game this week when Cleveland is pretty much decimated.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I will be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about Kevin Stefanski.
Mm-hmm. No shit. No shit.
Nice situation.
Last year was bad, man. And all right, yeah. Anyway, so we'll see how this Patriots-Jets game goes. I don't know. One last thing. Do you guys think this Patriots defense is as good as the media says? And I will agree. Like, I respect my fans. Like, and I know Lauren doesn't shit on Matt Jones, and a lot of you actually give him the proper credit. I just feel like he gets shitted on when he doesn't really need to be shat on. My point is this Patriots defense even good anymore?
I think.
Listen, they had a chance in that Miami game Sunday night. They had a chance. They had that last fourth. That was literally. That could have gone either way. That last play of the game, and I know it was nationally televised. Everybody was watching it. That could have gone either way. If they hit that fourth down, who knows what happens? They hung with Miami. That's another divisional. That's what I'm saying. You know, they hung with Miami. Tua just had too much going that game. But Miami might have a problem this week with no Waddle, a banged up Tyreek, and a Denver team that's desperate for a win with supposed to be a coaching genius. Miami's a very trappy play this week. And the only thing I'm going to say about that game is everyone, if you've been riding with Miami the last 2 weeks, you've cashed, kudos to you. This 6.5 points or whatever the hell it is for a team like Denver, who last year couldn't get more than 18 points a game or 17 points a game and is now putting up 30 something. Granted, they're losing. but they're putting up 30-something points. And Russell Wilson is getting more, had 30 fantasy points. This game is very trappy.
Yeah,
and I want nothing to do with it.
That's why I started the show with it, because like you pretty much echoed my points, and I understand that Broncos -3.5 beat. Like, listen, it wasn't even like what you would consider a bad beat. That was probably one of the worst losses I've had, and it's because of, like you said, this Broncos team actually isn't all that bad, and I don't know what happened last week. And one thing about the Broncos, too, I've been excited about is they're actually able to run the ball. I don't know if you guys remember last year. They couldn't run it. Javonte Williams has been good.
Yes.
He
got hurt last year.
Exactly. And I have to mention Vic Fangio, because you had Sean Payton with the Saints. One thing the Saints were always able to do against his defenses was like run it for like 130. Now, I know there's no Drew Brees throwing off that, but that is my main concern.
It's a tough bet, man. I mean, if the Broncos have done nothing to prove that they deserve to be bet on for this game.
Sure, I agree.
But it's hard to. And I thought it was a great touch to your upset video yesterday when he specifically told people not to bet this. And that's probably something I think you should do more of. Be like, do not bet this game.
I will, man. And like, that's why I was happy Lauren, just for the people who are joining late, she went on because, yeah, man, I got a little bit,
a little trappy
Tuesday.
Little trappy for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely, you guys always want to know my favorite pick of the week or whatever. I love Indianapolis this week. I don't care who's the quarterback. I know
I like it too.
Against a team that I was so high on week 1, which I was for good reason, but there is just people are falling down like the Berlin Wall over at Baltimore. And it is going to catch up to them.
And you got a good point cushion too to fall back on, if nothing else. And the Colts have been competitive through these first 2 weeks.
Yeah. They've hung in there. They've definitely hung it. And you give me 8 points, I'll take them.
Yeah.
And they had an injured Joe Burrow.
I think you're right about the Colts, because firstly, they ripped the Texans' ass last week. Very wrong about that. Secondly, when Minshew came
I loved them last week too.
When Minshew came in, they didn't really take a step back.
I'm not saying that he's a downgrade. I know that Anthony Richardson's got the wheels and the legs, but we've all seen the Nick Foles syndrome before. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that he's going to stay the starter or whatever like that, but Minshew's, he's the best backup in the NFL right now. So
unfortunately, that's where we're at.
Because right now we know who's playing for Carolina this week. It's going to be Andy Dalton. And he's made his way around the NFL. But I think that Minshew playing isn't going to be so bad. I'm telling you right now, guys, these injuries in Baltimore are going to catch up to them. People are like, when I literally say they are falling down like the Berlin Wall, they are literally, at some point in time, the guy parking cars is going to be is going to be a receiver. I don't even. There's just times when.
Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this. But speaking of injuries, I would not hate you if you told me you were going to bet the Panthers +6 or whatever it is against the Seahawks.
I actually thought Lauren would be on Panthers +6 against Seattle.
Lauren is on Panthers +6.
Oh, you like the Panthers?
Last week, I broke Lawson's sacred rule and bet on my own team. I will never, ever, ever, ever do that again. But I think,
and unfortunately, it actually bit me in the ass too, because I always say the same thing. It's so much bad quan touching your own team. In a 14 parlay, I had Indianapolis cashed, Rams cashed, Tampa cashed. Who's the fourth one? The Saints push.
That garbage time. But yeah, and that it sucks for you too, because that was the most undeserving 17-point performance I've ever seen Panthers. Speaking of that game, have we told everyone what your punishment was going to be if you lost?
Yeah, I don't remember what
So
we said about
I
that.
talked about this with Lauren after the stream, and I think we're gonna bring it back for the next one. Are you good? Am I gonna put this out there?
I mean, some of these viewers, some of you guys had some real
So
crazy ass.
this is completely a joke. But I told Lauren that if my Panthers beat the Saints, she would have to go out with someone from the chat as her punishment, and I thought that would have been hilarious. I don't know. If you guys,
Literally, some of you guys in the chat had some real interesting things for me, man. But I'll tell you, that the hat thing was going to be just for me as it was for Michael. But I mean, I love all you guys as viewers. You guys give me grief. You guys give me love. You guys give me all kinds of interesting things to think about after the
Well, I
show.
noticed
But
you're more active on Instagram. Like you finally did a story on Instagram for the first time in 3 years. So I see you're getting into 2023. I was like, what the fuck?
well, because I went from being on Instagram once a year to all of a sudden I have 700 followers. I don't even.
It's good.
you know what happened?
Instagram's the best, man. It's the
Lauren
best.
was salty that she didn't see the invite to get into our fantasy league, and then she learned that she needs to start checking her Instagram.
I did because I don't get any notifications. I don't know what happened.
What do you use?
I don't know what
use
happened there.
Facebook or Twitter, or do you just kind of just come on this show? What were you using before?
Pretty much. I mean, I use Facebook most of the time. I don't talk about plays and stuff like that, except for being on the show.
You don't seem like someone who would like Facebook because I felt old people just killed Facebook 10 years ago, with how crazy they get on it. But yeah, stay on Instagram. Instagram's good, man. There's a ton of good people who follow this channel on Instagram. So I'm sure they start following you because anyways, post some stuff, man.
I'll tell you what, I'm about to lose 50 followers for being in this hat.
Oh, Mike, Mike, they understand, man. And anyways, you tried to warn them week 1 before the Falcons game, and they didn't heed the warning. I remember one guy commented, I see no way we lose this game. Bro, it's the fucking NFL. Anyone can beat anyone any minute.
To be fair, my logic for us losing to Atlanta was kind of stupid, but I think it was warranted given the kind of stuff we've seen there. It
was literally right on the Vegas prognostication. It ended how they wanted it to end. If you look at how they prognosticate games, it ended exactly where. So I don't know. Was it stupid?
Go on Instagram and look at my prediction post for Falcons and Panthers for the first week of the season. I was almost dead on of how that game went. But yeah,
I'll tell you guys too. Another play that I like. I like the Kansas City Chicago game under. I know nobody wants to touch that spread. Chicago is the absolute worst at getting past midfield. And I know my friends that are all Bears fans are going to hate on me for this. I'm sorry. I know you guys got your guy in Justin Fields. He is just not going to get there. If you think that if Chicago's going to get to 20 points, then take the over. They're not.
Well, and Lauren, this makes sense because I actually had the under as well. And it is weird.
Under 47, right?
Yeah, we understand the way Kansas City approaches games. So I think the psychological reason how they approach games.
Go with the under. Absolutely.
I do think their offense is something to prove, though. They have not done anything this season so far, and I didn't think what they did against the Jags was good enough. They're due for a 30-point game.
If somebody also wants something to do with props, I somebody was asking me earlier. I think you're not going to be able to run on Tampa.
No,
you're just not.
I'm so excited for that.
One of two things is going to happen. Jalen Hurts is going to have a field day, and we're going to see the Jalen Hurts we saw last week, or if they continue to play the way last year. Or if they continue to play the way that they played the last 2 games, they might lose.
Yeah.
So I like Jalen Hurts. I like him for a lot of throwing yards. Whatever the hell the line is, I would take it over.
Probably like 217.
Hey, guys.
So
Mhm.
if I had to guess, I didn't see it, but
I gotta take
you
off.
wouldn't
I don't know yet, but I hope you guys enjoyed my hour of being in this piece of crap. I'm gonna go throw this in the garbage or destroy it or return it to the store, whatever the heck I'm gonna do with it. But
You don't
yeah,
return it to the store, you'll be wearing it again later this year.
and that's fine.
all right, we gotta go. I gotta go because lots.
I
Like,
just wish he took a video of himself buying it, walking into Lids, asking for a Saints hat and purchasing it with his debit card.
anyways, like, have a huge decision to make. Like, because I was thinking the same thing about this Colts one. It's gonna take some balls to put it up on Instagram. So I gotta go look at this. Good
All right,
player hurts.
See you
'Cause
guys.
Tampa Bay's front seven is ridiculous. So you would
Yeah,
think
you're not going to be able to run on Tampa. So Jalen Hurts is going to be able to hit AJ Brown. He's going to be able to hit Devontae Smith. He might hit the tight end. He might hit somebody you've never seen before. I think his throwing yards are going to be over whatever the hell the number is.
because it's going to be low, and
Yeah.
which is good.
Because
All right,
it's going to be
anyways, thank you,
reflective on his
Lauren.
last 2 weeks.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Listen,
See you
you all
next
have a good
week.
day. Thank you for everything. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, stay active on Instagram. Oh, my bad. I cut Lauren off. But anyways, yeah, follow Lauren on Instagram. She's getting active now. Hit the like button, share the videos, Patreon bets like 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern. Lots of stuff to go over. If I missed your question, I'll respond to it. Nice to see Sticks. Nice to see Rants. Nice to see John Jones. Cool Breeze. Always good to see you. Jarrett Hart, man. I hope your Bucks do it this week. Eagles are vulnerable as fuck, man. Hit the like button, share the videos. Appreciate everyone. Okay, let's go.